How many times during Donald Trump's administration have you thought to yourself, just how stupid are the people running this country? It is surprising levels of stupidity every single week, but that is the point. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Russ Vought, Mike Johnson, these are people who are excited about the incompetence around them because it makes us distrust government. That's the whole point. If they can make us think it's broken, they can then take it away. And the worst example we maybe have seen yet came in a leaked call that revealed how stupid Donald Trump and everyone around him actually is. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, while of course Donald Trump does want to break the government, there's certain aspects he's afraid for us to know that he's breaking, and that's why before we get into that call, we can see him panicking right here.
Consider some of the proposals on the table in copay and provider tax as a benefit cut. How are you viewing those?
No, we are looking at one thing. We're not doing any cutting of anything meaningful. The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. With Medicaid, waste, fraud, and abuse. There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. There's incompetent things put in. We have illegal aliens that are multiple killers with multiple murder records getting Medicaid. I don't think anybody minds if we cut that. The Democrats, on the other hand, are going to destroy it because they're going to leave these people on. We're cutting three things: waste, fraud, and abuse. We're not changing Medicaid, and we're not changing Medicare, and we're not changing Social Security. And if I wanted to do those things, I would have done it during my 4 years that we were.
Now, of course, Donald Trump is lying. They are cutting Medicaid by the tune of $800 billion. They are going after Social Security. These are two programs, just by their incompetence alone, have been hurt in real meaningful ways that put all Americans in harm's way. But that is the point. That was the point of DOGE. It was never about efficiency. This new budget bill is spending more than we ever have in American history. The military budget is $1 trillion. And Donald Trump, the guy who was bragging about cutting wasteful spending, was just bragging about it. They don't actually care about any of the things that they're saying. Any of the values they claim to have, as we know with Republicans, any accusation is really an admission of the truth about themselves, and Rand Paul is calling that out. So before we get to that call, let's hear from Rand Paul.
Cutting spending. Somebody has to stand up and yell, the emperor has no clothes, and everybody's falling in lockstep on this. Pass the big, beautiful bill. Don't question anything. Well, conservatives do need to stand up and have their voice heard. This is a problem we've been facing for decades now, and if we don't stand up on it, I really fear the direction the country is going.
The speaker is...
When Republicans, elected Republicans, who are Donald Trump's stooges, are calling him out, saying the emperor has no clothes, the emperor's got no brain. When that has become clear to people who are sycophants for Trump, and when they're going out and saying it on Fox of all places, you know it is bad. This budget is deeply damaging to the fabric of America. Ron Johnson said it. This will affect generations to come. But again, that's the point. They're stupid. They don't know what they're doing. And a leaked call from Donald Trump's Social Security administrator that Jen Psaki just reported on shows all of that. It's horribly embarrassing to Trump and terrifying for us all.
For months now, all across the country, Social Security recipients are dealing with an unbelievable amount of chaos and confusion. But rather than focusing on those ideas, DOGE has been firing workers by the thousands, pushing thousands more to retire, and devoting tons of resources to hunt for almost completely non-existent fraud. Case in point, last week, the publication NextGov obtained internal Social Security documents showing how DOGE went looking for phone-specific fraud and found almost none. And I literally mean almost none. To be exact, DOGE used a new anti-fraud tool on 110,000 claims made over the phone, 110,000, and only found 2 that might potentially be fraudulent. 2. But that anti-fraud tool slowed retirement claim processing by 25% across the board. Great job, guys. Good job on that one. Now, Social Security just got a new leader, a new commissioner of Social Security. Frank Bisognano was sworn into the role just a week and a half ago. And I wish I could tell you that Commissioner Bizignano was just the man for the job. I wish I could tell you that he definitely knows what he is doing and will just turn this whole thing around. But yesterday, ABC News obtained audio of Commissioner Bizignano telling his staff about when he first got offered his new gig. So take a listen to that.
We got a phone call, and it's about Social Security. And I'm really not, I swear I'm not looking for a job. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? So I'm Googling Social Security, one of my great skills. I'm one of the great Googlers on the East Coast. I'm like, what the heck's the Commissioner of Social Security?
What the heck is the Commissioner of Social Security was his last question as he's telling the story of learning he was going to be exactly that. You are now the Commissioner of Social Security, sir. You are it. And for all our sakes, I hope Google is giving you lots of good answers on how to fix your agency, since you're the Googler guy, I guess.
The man that Donald Trump charged with running Social Security didn't know what his own job entailed, was Googling it, not reaching out to anyone in the administration and not trying to gather information from someone who had done the job. They were Googling it and talking publicly about how little they knew in that leaked call. Should that not be terrifying to all of us? That this is the level of competence. Remember the first few weeks of Donald Trump's administration when it was meritocracy talk all the time? That it was, we're going to bring in the best of the best. We're gutting that DEI. I guess DEI means like now dumb and egregiously incompetent. Like that's the type of DEI being practiced in the Trump administration. It is terrifying. But again, it's the point. And Greg Gazar called out all of that, specifically the attacks on Social Security, in this clip right here.
What is happening right now at the Social Security Administration should horrify all of us. People organized and fought and pushed back to build Social Security in the 1930s. It's this incredible program, a lifeline not only just for our seniors, but for so many young people and people with disabilities and people who've had their parents die. There's just so much that Social Security does for millions of Americans. And Trump brought in Elon Musk to say that he was going to make things more efficient. But all he has done is either broken things or made things more efficient for his own pockets, but not for anybody else. They have gotten rid of over 3,000 people at the Social Security Administration. They have threatened to cut the Social Security Administration in half. And get this, they've talked about shutting off the phone lines because they say that there are just too many people that are committing fraud in the Social Security Administration. They want to say, oh, you aren't who you really say you are. You need to drive in and verify yourself in person. Don't mind us. We already sold off a bunch of the Social Security offices to give tax breaks to our friends. That's how this works. They think that it's too toxic for them to put Social Security cuts into the bills. And so instead what they're doing is trying to undermine the entire Social Security system itself. And we can't fall for that kind of a scam because what they're doing is calling seniors fraudsters when we know it's seniors that rely on this so badly. They want to say that they are cutting these payments because they're going after waste, fraud, and abuse when, as we heard earlier, the real waste is the gigantic companies that get huge contracts and milk money off of our healthcare, milk money off of our seniors. For example, in the Medicare Advantage program, we know Big Pharma takes advantage of us by tens of billions of dollars a year. If you want to talk about real fraud, it is these billionaires with their offshore bank accounts. Actually, if you want to talk about real abuse, get this. Is there anybody here that, works a job and you pay into Social Security every paycheck? You see that little amount that comes off? Raise your hand if that's happening. Anybody here, like after your first day or your first paycheck, you stop paying into Social Security? There's not any billionaires here. Do you know Elon Musk, I'm not exaggerating this, 15 minutes into January 1st of every year is done paying into Social Security? Do you know that? What do you mean? What we mean is here, once you start making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, you just stop paying into Social Security. Do you guys know that? They pay a lower rate. The folks that are going to clean this room after we leave pay a rate into Social Security astronomically higher than millionaires and billionaires. Can you guys believe that? That's the actual abuse of the Social Security system. That is the real problem. And so they want to make it seem like we're the problem when they're the problem.
Of course, this budget is bad. Of course, it is going to hurt people. Of course, Donald Trump is going after your Social Security. This should come as no surprise. And it's not just Republicans attacking it, calling it out. Republicans are almost worse, unable to defend it. Well, when Republicans can't lie, and of course they don't lie well, but when they can't even come up with one, you know their back is up against the wall. And that's what we saw from Mike Johnson right here.
About the greatest economy in the history of the world, not just the U.S., because we followed a very simple formula. We cut taxes and we cut regulations.
You didn't do it in the middle of a tariff
war. We're doing that on steroids.
In the first administration, there was sequencing. You got tax reform. The Republicans got tax reform through and held off the tariff war. Goldman Sachs says the hit to growth from tariffs will more than offset the boost to growth from the fiscal package. That's Goldman Sachs.
Well, I know. I respect Goldman Sachs, but I think what they're discounting here is the growth that will be spurred on by this legislation and the fact that the so-called tariff war is beginning to subside already. You've got over 75 countries that are negotiating new, more fair trade agreements for the U.S. right now because of the president's insistence that that be done, and it was decades overdue. That is going to benefit every American. It's going to benefit the consumers. You know, they howled when the first reciprocal tariffs policy was announced, and they said that prices would skyrocket. That simply hasn't happened. Many of those early estimates were far off, and that's being proven now. So what I think will happen is the tariffs, contest will subside. This legislation will pass and get the economy going again, and people will feel that. They'll see it in their own pocketbooks and their own opportunity, and every American household is going to benefit by these policies.
You know, Walmart has already said that it will have to raise prices. It's not theoretical. And the president on Friday was talking about even more tariffs, this time on Apple and others. But
they've got no defense. They've got no talking point. They are on the verge of crumbling. I don't know what elements of this bill, the big, beautiful bill, oh my God, the fact that they're calling that is just so stupid, will get through the Senate. But we've seen Republicans crumble. We've seen them break with Trump. AOC talked about this a lot. The public pressure is working. It is. So it's our job to continue to use our agency. We're going to be doing that on the show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.